Well, here we are. The end of Black Ops 1. And not only does Black Ops 1 go out with quite a bang, but so does our coverage of Black Ops 1. In Zombies, the Ultimus crew finally reaches the pinnacle of Richtofen's plan, which leads them to Area 51 and eventually the moon. And for the Zombies community, we reach the most controversial Zombies map of all time, and one of the points of the series that I've been looking forward to the most. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourselves for my very passionate take on Moon. Welcome to Moon! Well, not yet, actually. As a matter of fact, on this map, you don't even start on round 1, but rather in a large mud puddle at Groom Lake. The Pack-a-Punch ominously sits available in front of you, yet 4,500 points out of reach. Juggernog or Speed Cola, random per game, will also sit atop this platform near a giant teleporter. The zombies meander their way towards you, a knife away from death, per usual at the start of your match. Then, the alarms go off. I mean, what a start, right? Seriously, how many people had any idea what to do here on their first playthrough of Moon? Probably not many. The cool thing about the start of a game of Moon is it gives the player total free will. They could try to round up enough points for a perk, or if they have some serious skill, even Pack-a-Punch. No drops spawn down here, however, so no lucky double points or insta-kills can save the player. They have 40 bullets in their starting pistol and 2 grenades. Once all players in the match stand on this telepad, they will be teleported up to the moon. I would like to give a special shout out to that one guy back in the day that would think he's freaking Syndicate and make the entire team wait while they get themselves killed down here.
Imperial Fleet, get ready to suck some DAC!
Once up at the moon, the player will immediately realize they can't breathe. This is quickly counteracted by grabbing the PES system right in front of them and putting it on. And now, only now, do you reach round 1. Round 1 on Moon feels so somber and lifeless, partially due to the chaos that just ensued moments prior, but also due to the lack thereof of audio and slow-moving anti-gravity zombies. Quick Revive is available for purchase right here, as well as... Oh wait, nope, that's it. That's right, there are no guns available for purchase in this spawn room, as the M14 and Olympia are a door purchase away. This fully incentivizes spawn room challengers to get Pack-a-Punch and Jug before they go up to the moon. Moon's spawn room is indeed pretty bland, so let's move on to the next area, which brings us outside into space. Treyarch clearly knew the only way to amp up the visuals from Shang was by bringing us to the damn moon and giving us this heavenly view of Earth. Seriously, this blew away the zombies community when this map came out. And I know I keep saying this, but this is clearly like nothing we've ever seen before when it comes to COD Zombies. Both doors leaving the spawn room lead to the same area, but paths split now, as the player now has the option of going through either Tunnel 6 or Tunnel 11. We'll start with Tunnel 6, which leads the player into a compact room with an MPL. The room is rather uneventful, and when opened, I typically just stay out in the prior room before having enough points to advance into this area, which is pretty much like a maze, right? This area is super unique and satisfying to look around at. It's a little tricky to figure out your way around here at first, but advanced players don't have a problem with this. Camping by this door here is probably the player's best option to wait for their points to be sufficient enough to enter the power room. And my god, what an interesting power room. What's also nice about turning on power is now you can take off your PES suit in some locations, as power brings oxygen and gravity to parts of the facility. Somehow. A large pyramid is the central fixture of this room and sits behind the power source. Zombies dig themselves up from the dirt beside the pyramid to attack the player. Various controls, windows, and a potential box location sit on the other end of the room. The other way to get to the power room is through Tunnel 11, and to be honest, Tunnel 11 isn't nearly as interesting as Tunnel 6. All of the rooms on this path are bland and come across as facility-esque, which is a fair critique to a map that's taking place on the moon. The only relevance, in my opinion, Tunnel 11 really has is having stamina up and during the Easter egg quest. Otherwise, this area is just 3 doors that lead you to power. After turning on the power, the player will find a staircase beside the pyramid. Going in here will lead to more interesting lab rooms, consisting of numerous bookshelves, lab equipment, and machinery. Double tap is also here available in this area. There are 3 floors of labs here, 2 immediately available, and 1 available after another door purchase. There are only 2 rooms on this map from beyond here, being beyond this door here and this door here. And I really don't know which one I want to do first, so heads is the left door and tails is the right door. We'll be going through the left door first. Out here is pretty much what we wanted all along on Moon, a chance to go out on the surface in a wide open area. I think it's dumb that it takes this long on a map called Moon to reach a real decent chunk of it to run on, but I will say this area is sick and good for grouping up zombies. The other door also leads to a really cool area, being the Biodome. The Biodome is huge. To be honest, I still haven't worked out the maze that is the Biodome, but it's very visually appealing and open enough for good zombie training. PhD sits quietly in the back of the Biodome, almost as if it's trying to sneak out of the series. These two sections of the map, as well as the power room, help make up for a lot of the workshops and labs that blend together throughout most of the map. These areas have an abundance of character and are extremely memorable, especially compared to the limited iconicism of Shangri-La. From the Biodome and the Moon surface also, the player can drop down here to teleport back to Earth. The player can do this when they're ready to pack or if they'd like to get Jug or Speed Cola. They have to keep in mind, however, that those perks rotate out, and if Jug was there last time, Speed Cola will be there this time. I feel we did a good job covering a lot of the atmosphere as we toured the map just now, but let's recap a bit. With the exception of a few standout exceptions, a lot of Moon's rooms feel lackluster and repetitive. The brownish gray colors of the map don't help it at all either, as this map reaches blind points beyond Ascension. Of course, props have to be given for the beauty of outer space and the ingenuity of Tunnel 6 and the Biodome, but for a map taking place on the Moon, I feel like most if not all of the rooms should hold this same level of personality. That being said, however, the parts of Moon that matter are its standout rooms, and those are extraordinary to say the least. Now, let's move on to, once again, a very short feature introduction category. Similar to Shangri-La, Moon really only introduced one feature to zombies that stuck throughout the franchise, and that would be the latest perk, Mule Kick, which may look familiar. Also had their own direct. You exit the elevator and enter what's known as the War Room. The new features that it introduced to the game. If Gersh does not start floating away, you did not provide enough damage and must try again. It's visually appealing flying through the map and seeing it all as a blur. A lot of players that didn't follow the game as it came out didn't know this, but despite being on every map prior to this on BO1, Mule Kick's first appearance was actually on Moon. Treyarch just decided for some reason to go back and add it onto every map, including Noct, which I've never been a big fan of. If you're going to add any perk to Noct, let it be Quick Revive for the solo players. But anyways, this is not a Noct retrospective. Mule Kick allows the player to wield 3 guns at once rather than the typical 2, which is nice on a game where limited ammo is definitely an issue. But you may be asking yourself, what happens to that gun if you were to go down with Mule Kick? Well, it's gone. If you pack that weapon, that's $5 grand down the hole, plus the 4K price for the perk itself, so consider that $9 grand down the hole. Your first weapon purchase after acquiring Mule Kick creates what players refer to as the Mule Kick slot. Now, as you continue to replace your guns in that slot, your Mule Kick weapon changes. A lot of people like to purchase a low-cost weapon after acquiring Mule Kick so they don't accidentally spin a Wonder Weapon or something after buying it, and now suddenly that's the weapon that's in danger of being lost if the player goes down. There's also no way to tell which gun is your Mule Kick weapon in this game if you lose track, which can be frustrating. Mule Kick is a complicated perk in this regard, and as excellent as it looks on paper, is barely ever used due to these drawbacks. I mean, the first unique feature to address is obviously Area 51. I'd have to say off the top of my head, this must be the most unique way to start a zombies map of all time. The fact that you can have Jug and Pack-a-Punch and 100 plus kills before round 1, that's crazy. This area provides potential for challenges and short games unlike anything we get for the rest of zombies, so clearly lots of props for this feature. However, I'm not going to give any damn props for this map's boss zombie, the Astronaut. The Astronaut is like a Temu George Romero, as he follows you around the map the whole game yet is very easy to kill. However, also like George Romero, he will come back the next round or so. A big difference between these two is that the Astronaut does not care about killing the player. Rather, he will headbutt them, teleport them to a random location, and take a perk from them. And on any other map, that would suck, right? But on Moon, similar to the monkey rounds on Ascension, losing Quick Revive counts toward your revive usage. But the real dagger is Juggernog and Speed Cola. If he takes Jug from you, and you had it most recently at Area 51, you have to go back twice to repurchase the perk. Which, dear God, is a pain in the ass, and difficult as all hell depending on the round. So yeah, I don't care if he has goofy ad names above his head, including Treyarch devs and people on your friend list, this guy sucks. And so do these teleporting Nova 6 crawlers that appear upon opening the labs. Because we all loved these things when they weren't teleporting, right? Let's go for some fun things now, notably in the box. Gersh devices make their return from Ascension, as well as a new special grenade called the Quantum Entanglement Device, or QED for short. The QEDs, well, do anything, I guess? Here's a compilation of random crap they can do. Yeah, there's really not much I can say about the QEDs. They can be extremely helpful or extraordinarily detrimental. So they're not something I typically use on serious occasions, especially when the alternative is the extremely reliable Gersh device. But I will say the QEDs are interesting. These intriguing looking pistols here are the Zap Guns. These dual pistols can be used to zap the zombies or can be combined to create the Wave Gun, which kind of explodes the zombies in a very interesting anti-gravity-esque way. I don't really know how to describe it. I really like this wonder weapon, as it has two completely different stocks for ammo and is obviously very good at taking out zombies. The Wave Gun is especially good for taking out hordes at a time. The biggest downside of this weapon is, similar to the Thunder Gun, it doesn't generate drops, so players will need a worthy secondary to ensure they continue to get max ammos. And what better way to get max ammos than with the Hacker? This tool is found in various spots in the labs past the Pyramid Room, and replaces the player's PES system. In this scenario, obviously, the player must be careful about how long they spend in areas without oxygen, as being outdoors for too long without the PES will obviously down the player. Players also need to be very careful to not use grenades much on this map, as grenades can blast open windows that keep the oxygen in. Another great way to troll and piss off friends. Anyways, there are a myriad of things you can do with the Hacker, including opening doors, although it takes 30 seconds, repairing windows quickly, giving other players points, re-rolling the box, moving the box to another location for a spin, removing perks, changing drops to max ammos, changing max ammos to fire sales, and creating a cage to protect the player while pack-punching. That was a mouthful, huh? The Hacker is clearly a really cool and interesting device. Its intricacies are mostly very useful and allow us to do things I wish could be done on other maps. Imagine getting Mule Kick from a free perk bottle and being able to hack it away for 4,000 free points. That's awesome. Unfortunately, there are no perk bottles on Moon. The Hacker is also useful for preventing another terrible aspect of Moon, the excavators. Basically, there are 3 excavators, one that excavates Tunnel 6, one for Tunnel 11, and one for the Biodome. Griffin Station's announcer every 7-8 rounds or so will mention one of those areas is about to get excavated. If the excavation is successful, a giant metal wheel will land and start tearing up the map, or in the Biodome's case, the roof of the Biodome. Running into the excavator will obviously kill the player, but another thing that it does is remove oxygen from that area in the map, which obviously is a pain if you're running with the Hacker. The only way to prevent these excavators is by hacking their control panels up in the spawn room. The player has about 5 minutes to do this before the excavator attacks, so it's important to keep your ears perked. Usually the announcements will begin at the start of a round. Let's quickly also address another feature of the Biodome, being the launch pads. A very cool and unique feature for Moon, yet reasonably problematic seeing how the initial launch pad is directly beyond this door. This thing is easy to forget about and can cause issues, especially seeing how falling from this high is instant death if you don't have Jug. With the exception of that, however, the launch pads are pretty fun yet finicky to use. Sometimes a drop will appear up here and the only way to obtain it is by bouncing to it. Bouncing from launch pad to launch pad can also be a fun way to kill time if your team is busy hitting the box or doing an Easter egg step. There are actually a few achievements to go over on Moon. Fully Armed and Operational is an achievement that requires the player to have 3 pack-a-punched weapons at once. I like how this achievement incentivizes the use of a new perk, while also being a realistic challenge on a difficult map. Ground Control is another achievement received when the player prevents all 3 excavators from excavating in one match. This one can be a bit tricky due to the randomness of the excavators and the fact that there's an excessive amount of rounds between each excavator going off, but this is an achievement I'm sure a lot of Moon players have got by accident. The last one is probably going to be hell for me to explain, but the name of it is One Giant Leap. In this achievement, both Tunnel 6 and 11 excavators need to be running, and the player needs to be on the power room side while a teammate is on the spawn room side. The player on the power side must go down and bleed out and respawn with the other player on the power side.
That's the joke.
Yeah, this one's weird. I never really grasped why they felt this intricacy of the map was worthy of achievement, and as we'll see later, an Easter egg. But hey, who am I to complain about more content being on a map? I mean, this section really shouldn't be news to anyone. The two best places to hold out against the zombies are the biodome and out on the moon. I give the edge to the moon surface as far as being authentic a moon setting as possible, but the biodome provides a lot more space for multiple players and has a neat atmosphere. I feel like I should also address strategies for pack punching before round 1 here. Basically, as the zombies slowly walk toward you, they're all one knife. As they start running, they'll become 2 knives and slowly work their way up to becoming too tough to handle. The first batch of dogs also will be 1 knife. It's important to utilize your knife early and your bullets later. Your grenade throws are probably the most important thing when it comes to pack punching early, as just one of these things can generate even 1,000 points and create many knifeable crawlers, or completely miss and put you in a hole. Either way, doing this is pretty damn hard to do, and I have respect for anyone who has packed before round 1 on BO1 Moon. The highest round on Moon was achieved on August 5th, 2024 by Furret, who also holds the Ascension high round record. He actually runs a tight train here in Tunnel 11 and keeps the door at the top of the staircase closed. Definitely an interesting strategy, seeing how Tunnel 11 isn't very open at all, but I'd imagine this spot is great for frequent zombie spawns to keep the game moving. Moon is a tough map. Outside its great training areas and overpowered weaponry, this map can be difficult to traverse, especially mid-round. Given the last couple maps, however, Moon doesn't stand out as difficult, since it's often compared to Call of the Dead and Shangri-La, and neither of those maps have a good training spot like the Moon surface or the biodome. Either way though, comparisons aside, Moon is definitely not an easy map. Moon has to be one of the most insanely innovative maps of all time. I mean, whenever any franchise takes on space, there's usually a plethora of interesting features that come with it. Area 51, of course, is something Moon has going for it that no other map does. I really enjoy the concept of being able to go to the moon like a tank. The Hacker is pretty damn cool too. This tool is unlike any other, perhaps in gaming as a whole. 50 plus zombies maps, and none of them provide a feature that is as dynamically helpful as this device. And the biodome loved this area. It's always fun to come here and take in the scenery after going through the dull labs. It's also awesome that a location with this much aura is great for training zombies. These features make Moon stand out as one-of-a-kind experience and give players many reasons to keep it on replay and come back to it. Now, let's look at where Moon went wrong. I mean, can we just get the astronaut out of the way? Fuck this guy. This dude just seems to be around every tight corner you can find and behind every door you come across. And why does it always seem like he only takes your quick revive or your juggernog? Literally any mechanic other than going down that makes me lose a quick revive on solo will piss me off. Maybe this bastard wouldn't be able to sneak up on me so much if these damn doors weren't such an issue. Why do these doors open and shut? I hear my fair share of gripes with a lot of things on Moon, but I never hear anyone bring that up. How many times have you been walking through a door and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a zombie sandwich? This mechanic blows. Seriously, half my downs and astronaut encounters come from zombies being on the other side of a door I'm going through that doesn't open until you're close enough to hump the damn thing. This is impractical, unfair, and stupid. I'd call it a straw that broke the camel's back if it weren't a damn anvil, and if there weren't at least 15 other straws on this map. Let's rattle a couple off here. The Juggernog location is freaking terrible. The RNG needed for the Easter egg, as we'll come to see, is ridiculous. For a map that teleports you from the Earth to the moon, there are no fast travels on the moon, literally not. The excavators are super annoying to deal with. And let's stay on this one for a sec. Let's stay here and figure out why the excavators suck. Beyond, the obvious. What happens if someone grenades the windows and spawn? There's no way to fix them. Like there should be. They could have added a way to fix them and they didn't. You're just screwed. Screwed for the rest of the game. Stuck running back and forth to oxygen areas for safety. This is mental. Let's also address this fun theory. What the hell do you do if Tunnel 6 and 11 have the excavators going and you're near spawn without the hacker? This is your life now. The map may as well be only 5 rooms, if that. Now, I know this scenario is easily preventable, but the fact that it can still happen in the first place and soft lock you out of the map, pitiful. And finally, let's get to the creme de la creme. This map feels like ass. The anti-gravity in early rounds doesn't add up to the atmosphere. It doesn't make it more cool or fun. It makes it more boring, especially following an intense battle at Area 51. This is just boring, not to mention the lack thereof audio. Seriously? Sounds like a 5-year-old going pew pew with a toy gun. I don't feel into the map when I'm playing Zombies on Moon. I'm not invested. The action feels dull and forgetful. And I've said that word a lot, dull. What does that say to you? That a map that takes place on the freaking moon can come across as dull? How do you even do that if you're Treyarch? How do you mess up that bad? Like I said though, Moon is controversial. Some people love this map while others despise it. I think you guys know where I rest my hat now. However, I did leave Moon's best attribute for the end tier, and of course, that would be its story. Moon's story is the culmination of all the prior maps on steroids. But before we get into that, let's discuss a little bit more about how Griffin Station even got here in the first place, and how exactly zombies came to exist. Because believe it or not, if there's one location that's even close to the importance of Der Riese behind the creation of zombies, it's here. For when Maxis detested Richtofen's attempt at teleportation, Richtofen began to break off from Maxis and work in secret. Upon his first attempt at human teleportation, Richtofen accidentally found himself on the moon, face to face with the MPD, otherwise known as the Moon Pyramid device. Upon touching this pyramid, Richtofen was immediately corrupted. He utilized the help of Dr. Groff and Dr. Schuster to build the moon base and continue to study and work on the MPD. Upon killing a rat beside the device, Groff and Schuster discovered that it was souls that powered the MPD. After this discovery, Richtofen sent soldiers and scientists up to the moon as sacrifices to the MPD. Then came October 1945, when Richtofen teleported Maxis and Samantha away at the Der Riese facility. Unbeknownst to Richtofen, he had just sent Samantha directly to Griffin Station, where she proceeded to enter the MPD and attempt to fulfill her father's final wish before his suicide: kill them all. So that's why the zombies are following our crew. Mystery solved. At this point, Richtofen woke his test subjects, Nikolai, Takio, and Dempsey, and brought them from facility to facility, gathering what they needed to get Samantha out of the MPD. This consisted of Richtofen's diary in Shinonuma, the Vril device in Call of the Dead, and the focusing stone at Shangri-La. And now, on October 13th, 2025, Richtofen is bringing his crew to the moon for the final part of his grand scheme. Moon's main quest, while excellent in storytelling and in theory, is problematic in steps. Let's address the RG component really quick. In order to complete Moon's Easter egg, the player needs to obtain the Gersh devices, QEDs, and the Wavegun. If the player is doing this on solo on BO3, however, they obviously can only hold the QED or the Gersh at once, not both. They'll need the Gersh first, then the QED, then at the very end of the egg, they need the Gersh back. That's not even mentioning the fact, also, that players need Excavator Pi to excavate specifically Tunnel 6 before advancing past the third step. And this thing always seems to be the first one to excavate when you're not doing the Easter egg, and the last one to activate when you are. So that's definitely no fun. Outside of these terrible RNG components, the steps to the Moon Egg aren't actually too bad. The first step is our introduction to the common Simon Says game, which we'll see a lot more throughout COD Zombies. In Zombies, this is typically referred to as Samantha Says. I find these memory games pretty fun and moderately challenging, but a little frustrating to do on a solo game without someone training a zombie. The next step requires hacking some panels in the lab, and then you need to wait and wait for Excavator Pi. When Excavator Pi does hit, you must allow it to excavate Tunnel 6, then hack it back. Doing this spawns in this small sphere which you can shoot or knife to get moving. The sphere will bounce around before hiding again and being in need of another shot or a knife to advance. This thing goes to the same spots every game, but before learning these spots, it could certainly be frustrating to find it if you lose it, so my best advice is to keep an eye on it. After departing Tunnel 6, it will go up to this satellite dish and need to be knocked down with the Wavegun. Rinse and repeat the previous step in Tunnel 11, which has a few spawns for the sphere to make its way into the MPD and spawn in the Soul Canister. This Soul Canister takes 25 kills to fill, and then will allow the player to pull the switch to reveal Samantha, controlling the zombies. The players now will be granted with a 90-second death machine, as this egg is about halfway over. At some point during the game, the player will need to go back to Area 51 to knock down some plates over here and teleport them to the moon with the Gersh device. They will then need the QEDs to move them over to this workstation. Thrilling use of the QEDs, right? There will also be an S-shaped pipe that has like 100 spawns somewhere in the map the player will need to gather to finish the workstation. Now the player who is playing as Richtofen needs to place down the Vril device here and interact with this computer like 100 times to get through some story important yet gameplay lacking dialogue. Once the conversation is over, the MPD will generate 4 familiar looking soul canisters. Each one takes 25 kills and is actually a really fun step. The goal is to get the zombies as close to each canister as possible before killing them, which is pretty engaging seeing how the group of players must work their way around the pyramid filling each one. Other than RNG, this is definitely the hardest part of this Easter egg, yet like I said, it's pretty fun too. Once all the canisters are filled, the person playing as Richtofen will place the Vril device in the MPD, get granted all perks, and as far as the storyline goes, swap souls with Samantha. In the zombies' eyes, they will change to blue to indicate a shift in power. Richtofen now controls the zombies. The player must throw a QED at the MPD, do 3 long rounds of Samantha Says, throw the Gersh device at the sphere here to finish the Easter egg. So yeah, the coolest part of this Easter egg is definitely Samantha and Richtofen switching souls. They seriously could have ended the map there. Like, I don't understand why there's more Oh. God damn. You blow up the Earth. And I mean, I don't really know how to analyze this. You explode the Earth. And there's still like 3 to 4 more zombie games in this storyline. I feel like that's a stopping point for most series, right? Going back to Area 51, you can even see the devastation. You can also witness the scene change itself if you manage to teleport to the Earth quickly after throwing your Gersh. Like I said, my favorite part of Moon has to be its immaculate story. So many plot twists and important parts for such an early map in the Zombies franchise. And seriously, it's surely a tough map story-wise to top. As far as side Easter eggs, Moon doesn't really have any outside of music Easter eggs, of which it actually has plentiful. The first one we'll go over is Coming Home by Alina Siegman and Kevin Sherwood. This song is activated in the typical fashion by interacting with this bear under Spawn, this bear between Tunnel 6 and the Power Room, and this bear in Tunnel 11. Numerous songs are activated by interacting with certain computer terminals across Moon. These songs consist of remakes and 8-bit versions of previous songs, including Damned and Paradolia from Shangri-La. It's easy to find these terminals by accident while looking for the hacker or the S-pipe and wildly interacting, and it's pretty cool when it catches you off guard. The last song that appears on this map is actually quite a famous one, being Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold. This one is activated by getting the One Giant Leap achievement from earlier, where you need to be trapped by the 2 excavators and respawn. Again, not really sure why they hid this song behind such an obscure wall, and it's definitely a shame because this is a song I'd love to listen to every time playing this map, but as you can see, it's kind of a hassle to get it going. And I'm not sure if this belongs in the Easter egg section, but I feel I need to mention this at some point. Far into BO1's life cycle, there were other plans for a different DLC 4 map, all circulating around taking place in Paris. In older maps, going back as far as Derice, you can find pictures of future maps as well as a picture of Paris. As a matter of fact, in the game's files, this map is literally titled Zombies_Paris. This really makes you wonder how far into the map they were before they decided to switch it to the Moon, and why we never saw a Paris map in the future. If they'd moved on from the idea in favor of Moon, I'd imagine eventually they'd revisit it. Allegedly, the layout for the No Man's Land area from a future map, Origins, was originally part of the Paris map, with the Eiffel Tower being in the center above Pack-a-Punch. I'm not sure if this was ever confirmed, but either way, I thought it was a pretty cool fact and something worthy of a mention. Moon appears one more time, being on Black Ops 3. This map looks vastly better than its BO1 variant and feels much more polished and complete. I'd say Moon is easily the map that improves the most through its BO3 remaster. Moon also has a free max ammo Easter egg, similar to the other Chronicles maps. This is done by typing a long sequence into these computers in the power room, then interacting with the Samantha doll that spawns near the MPD. The next step almost feels like they ran out of ideas, as there will not be 5 hidden dolls around the map, but rather 7 dolls will appear right in front of the MPD. Simply shoot them and interact with the original doll for your max ammo. Odd choice of them not to hide them like they did for literally the 6 prior Chronicles maps. But, I mean, I guess I'll take it. Another Easter egg is introduced on BO3, being the Space Dog Easter egg. There were always rumors of a Space Dog being on BO1 Moon for some reason, so Treyarch decided to make it an actual thing you can do on BO3. In order to do this, you need to use the wave gun to shoot 3 items around the map that are in very small and obscure locations. You can shoot a teddy bear here in the biodome, a toy dog under this truck, and a dog bone here near the teleporter. You can keep track of what you have shot by checking if these things have teleported near the dog's bowl here in the labs. Hack the bowl, kill at least a few rounds worth of zombies near it, and then listen for a dog bark. This means you finished the quest and can now find a dog bouncing around on the moon near the teleporter. I love this side quest. It was truly a work of passion to add this in, especially while remastering 7 other maps at the same time. Also, how can you not love it? It's a space dog. The only other appearance Moon makes is on the BO4 map Classified, where you can teleport to Area 51 for Pack-a-Punch. In this map, Area 51 works as a normal room, with rounds and such. There's also a lot more debris, making the spot difficult to train, but this debris is removable through a few steps that we'll go over once we get to Black Ops 4. I mean, F tier. Do I really need to say anything here? You guys heard my rant in the good or bad section. I don't like Moon. I understand it's a controversial map, and some people love it, put it in S tier, and I feel like the majority of people put it like maybe like B or something like that. And it's hot. This is certainly one of my, if not my hottest take in all of Zombies. I was a BO1 kid. I love BO1. BO1's one of my favorite video games of all time, and that being the case, I got attached to a lot of those maps, and Moon was not one of them, and that hate turned into a passionate hate. I mean, it's playable on BO3. It is way better on BO3. Way better. But BO1 Moon, and I think the community, now that BO3 Moon is out, can kind of like see all the faults that BO1 Moon has compared to BO3. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still a million issues with the BO3 version, like the astronaut and the doors and all that. But like, it's better. It's way better. This is how it should have felt on BO1. Maybe I wouldn't have hated on it so hard, but I understand very limited people listening to this are gonna feel the way I do about Moon, and that's okay. I'm sure some of these prior maps have been your favorites, and I haven't put anything in S tier yet. So, you know, we all have our opinions, and this is certainly a hot one. But that's where Moon's gonna sit, and let's see if Brent feels the same way.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Brent over at Kid, and I'm going to give my tier list ranking for Moon. So, Black Ops 1 Moon, in my opinion, is a bad map. There are so many things working against you. You know, the gravity is horrible on Black Ops 1 Moon. And yeah, I know you're on the moon, but that doesn't mean it can't suck. The excavators can be very annoying. The astronaut literally doesn't add anything to the map. He's just literally a nuisance. You know, he's just going to take your perks. Most likely going to be your jug or your quick revive. The fact that if you accidentally throw a grenade in a pressurized room, or even just shoot the ray gun near a window, you can never be in that room again without a PES. Same goes with the excavator. You know, if the excavator starts digging in the biodome, you're pretty much screwed if you want to use the hacker in there ever again. I could go on and on with this map, but it would make the video way too long. This map is going to have to go in E tier. And I know I just roasted this map, but I still do find some level of enjoyment playing it, you know, when you're playing with friends or something, or, you know, the wave gun's cool, the fact that you're on the moon is cool, but that's the only thing keeping it out of F tier. It's still bad, but it's not quite bad enough for F tier. And I will say, if I was ranking the Black Ops 3 Chronicles version of Moon, it would shoot up to C tier. Like, it would be probably right here. Well, yeah, right there. But I'm not. I'm just ranking the BO1 version. But the BO3 version, it improves so many things. It makes the gravity way more manageable. You have gobblegums like immolation to help you get weapons you need for the Easter egg, among other things. Anyways, guys, thanks again for your support, and I'll hand it back to Joe.
Black Ops 1 is over. I truly cannot believe how far we are into this series, especially with the viewership we've been receiving. It really means the world to us. I thought we'd be lucky to get a couple hundred views, and I was totally okay with that. But this is incredible. So thank you guys so much. It especially means a lot to me if you like Moon and just witnessed me thrash it around and continued to stick around to the end of the video. So much respect. Next up is Black Ops 2, when things really start picking up and getting complicated. I'm scared at how long those videos are going to be honest. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our first visit to Black Ops 2 Zombies. And as always, till next time.